Well, here. Try this.
Music has been linked with film for as long as the medium existed, and it can be used to great effect. These movies bring the music to the forefront, having it be the payoff of their story's climax, to show that the characters' emotions are at the highest they have ever been, or to show that they are at their absolute lowest. No matter what the purpose, when it comes to movies,
Madonna, Blondie, Bowie, Beatles, music! We need music!
This is music!
when I think back on all of these movies, there is only one series that most effectively used music to tell its story. When I rewatched Guardians of the Galaxy recently, I can't help but smile in every scene where the Walkman's turned on and music is played. With a click of a button, the mood of a scene can switch from mysterious and daunting to lively and exciting. It made me think. Picking the right music for a movie can be just as important as the casting process. Choose wrong and you can ruin a scene or character. Choose right, however, and you can create a masterpiece.
A lot of times people really undervalue sound and music in general in films. The soundtrack, the score, all of the rest of the sound is a huge part in what a movie is.
That was James Gunn, the director. While his first Guardians movie has arguably become a classic of the genre and his third movie has caused audiences worldwide to weep endlessly, it is actually Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 that exists as an awkward middle child. Despite this, it is by far the greatest one at showing effective use of music in film. The times his expertise shows through the best are with his use of what is known as needle drops. But what are they and how can they be used to enhance an already good movie to greatness?
Soundtrack to Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
Soundtrack to Singles. Soundtrack to Grosse Pointe Blank. Why do you have so many soundtracks?
Oh, well, I kind of look at it like it's your favorite directors making a mixtape just for you.
Ew.
In a way, that is correct. Needle drops are the songs chosen to play during a film that already existed completely independently from that film. This is in contrast to, say, a score, which is often made in tandem with a project and exclusively for that movie to use. Now, scores are still amazing and an integral part in setting the emotion and tone of a scene. However, sometimes a director or writer has a song in their head that is already perfect for the scene. This is when they use a needle drop, and it has become one of the most versatile tools in all of filmmaking. With the right song, you can establish a character as a terrifying threat that is not to be messed with. Or it can be used to show that they're the opposite. These pieces of musical scenery provide a lot more context into these characters, but some creators dare to go even deeper than that. Some directors inject music right into the heart of their work and use it as a powerful way to evoke emotion, to portray hard-to-understand concepts, and as a means to flesh out the character in a way that makes them just feel more human. After all, what is more human than listening to music? This is why James Gunn is one of the most effective filmmakers at this. His secret all lies in the way he uses his music to make the large sci-fi elements in his movies and his complex characters that much more relatable. It is the art of personification in its simplest form. We can tell what the characters are feeling in response to the music because we, the audience, have all felt the same thing while listening to it. This is something that is written into the original scripts as he comes up with them. We focus on Baby Groot, who trots up to the stereo speakers and Walkman. He fiddles with two wires. They spark. The stereo powers up, and Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra plays. James Gunn had gone on to say that the music was his way into understanding these characters, which was also helpful to the general public because before the first Guardians movie came out, almost no one knew about these characters.
Star-Lord. Who?
They were never fan favorites in Marvel Comics, and when it comes to the pop culture zeitgeist, their fingerprint was non-existent. So when Kevin Feige sat Gunn down and asked him to do this movie, he was hesitant at first. He couldn't understand who these characters were and how they fit into this larger and more grounded Marvel world. He said that to make this movie would feel like taking a cartoon character like Bugs Bunny and just throwing him into the middle of an Avengers movie. So he had to take a step back and basically reinvent the characters from scratch. And the first movie is a great example as to how well this worked. One of the most crucial items in the whole movie is just a Walkman. It is the only thing that Peter has from Earth to remind himself of his mother, and he uses it to hold himself to the past. By framing the movie this way, James Gunn accomplishes quite a few things. The first thing he did was attach emotional reasoning as to why we should care about this person and the songs he plays. The second thing he did here was put a framing device in place to where he introduces all the music diegetically. Diegetically means that the music that is put into a scene can be heard by the characters in it as well. When you do the same thing non-diegetically, with the music being just for the audience, having all of these songs from the 70s and 80s would feel out of place in a big modern sci-fi movie like this.
Let's make some noise. That's a good choice.
That was one of the beautiful things about these films that really worked. Star-Lord is a man out of time, and it feels accurately portrayed in everything he does. The way that he carries himself, the immature ways he handles situations, and his insistence that everyone calls him by a cool outlaw codename. He isn't alone in this either. As the story unfolds, we are introduced to the other misfits in the cast: Gamora, Drax, Groot, and finally Rocket.
You know why I did it, Star Munch?
I'm not gonna answer Star Munch.
I did it because I wanted to!
The characters get thrusted forward by the conflict of the movie, but the audience is thrusted forward by the song choices. All of the movie's songs were collected in something called the Awesome Mix, something that existed in-universe as the cassette that Star-Lord listens to throughout it. Due to the success of this film, the official soundtrack was released and became an even bigger one. It reached the top of the Billboard charts for that year and became the second highest soundtrack of all time. The only other one to top them was the soundtrack to The Bodyguard, which, if you can hold a candle to Whitney Houston, then you deserve a pat on the back. The second movie is where it really gets interesting, as this is when the songs tie into the film in a more subtextual way. This is because the success of the first movie made him even more selective and thoughtful as to the different connotations given by them. Over the course of the film, there are two songs that get played more than once. These needle drops have hidden meaning to the film that provide not only the feel the scene is going for, but also work on a dual level in both Peter's and Rocket's tension and developing plot. The first song that we hear in the whole movie is the classic "Brandy, You're a Fine Girl" by Looking Glass. This is the song that the movie opens up with, and is what it uses to reveal who Peter Quill's father is. However, this gave birth to the movie's first use of a leitmotif, a recurring musical element that represents a character or place. For this, think of the Darth Vader theme, or even the theme for the Shire. Leitmotifs can be used to represent ideas as well, the leitmotif for this being how Ego sees the world. The movie offers us tonal mislead in how it originally seems to be applying it romantically. Then the movie's big twist occurs, and we see Ego's villainous nature come out.
It broke my heart to put that tumor in her head.
He calls back to the song after this heel turn.
What?
But this time, it is clear he reads it as a justification for obsession. Since this is one of the more easily recognizable songs in the film's track list, it was a very interesting choice to see it be entirely flipped on its head.
My life, my love, my lady is the sea.
However, it was the film's other big leitmotif that had an even better execution. Since this was one of the more easily recognizable songs in the film's track list, it was a very interesting choice to see it be entirely flipped on its head. Fleetwood Mac's The Chain is a perfect song in how it exists on multiple levels. While it is praised as a classic on its own, there was some deep-seated drama that permeated it. The band of Fleetwood Mac had one of the harshest falling outs in rock and roll history, with there being heavy infighting and relationships permanently ruined which resulted in the band breaking up. This is why The Chain was such a big deal. In the Rumours album, which is by far the band's biggest success, that is the only song in which every member collaborated. So when do we hear this song in the movie? We see the found family that is the Guardians at complete odds with each other. There is the sibling rivalry consuming Nebula and Gamora, as well as Rocket, who has once again pushed everyone away. This is the moment the group parts ways, and it leaves the audience wondering if it will really be the last time they do. It seems like the bond of friendship, the chain holding them together, is about to sever. Then at the very end of the movie, James Gunn proves his aptitude for effectively using needle drops. The Guardians are once again all together, but it might not be enough. The situation is dire and tensions are at its climax, however, then the song kicks in. It is once again that familiar Fleetwood Mac ballad, and do you know what lyric they focus on? This is a triumphant moment, as it shows the group is unstoppable when they're all together. The best part is, this is one of the only needle drops in the entire franchise to be delivered non-diegetically. The characters can't hear it because they don't need to. It is just for us. Peter Quill's Walkman has been destroyed, his link to the past is severed. However, the music still remains, not as a painful reminder, but as proof that the bond can't be severed. He is no longer defined by his past. He uses it to move on.
That's your fault. There's so much you have to go through. Find a girl.
It's just
settle down if you want.
some unspoken thing.
Peter's arc has been mostly completed, as that serves as a sign of his growth. He can now look towards the future. However, one person can't. It is Rocket. Throughout the second movie, you do see him grow, but he is still all consumed by his past. This is once again seen by the music, as over the course of the second movie, you see him start to use the awesome mix nearly as much as Quill. It is only by confronting the past that he can begin to live a bit more in the present. This is all the point to the third film, which bookends itself in the character's development. And for a character that Gunn largely based off of himself, it seems a fitting way to end the series.